At exactly 3:17 a.m., I woke up to the kind of chaos you only ever see in a Michael Bay movie. Alarms screaming, tires screeching, blue and red lights strobing across my bedroom, like I'd somehow woken up in a police procedural instead of my own bed. Heart hammering, I stumbled to the window and tried to make sense of the spectacle on my front lawn. Armed officers fanned out across the street, radios crackling, voices sharp. But honestly, none of that held a candle to what punched me in the gut a second later. Me Jeep, the black beast with blackout military plates, the one the local task force had begged me to park in plain sight for their sting operation, was just gone. All that was left was a traffic cone and a note. Code violation. HOA confiscated. You can't make this stuff up. I wanted to scream, laugh, and cry at the same time. Karen from the HOA, Linda Farthington, but everyone called her Karen Supreme, had just cut the lock off a law enforcement vehicle and towed it off like it was some abandoned sofa. She had no idea she'd just blown up a months-long federal surveillance op with one bolt cutter flex. And now, as the feds showed up at my door asking where the Jeep had gone, I had the singular pleasure of explaining. Well, you see, my car was stolen by the Neighborhood Association president. Yeah, that happened. Moving to Willow Creek Estates was supposed to be my fresh start, my break after years bouncing around, serving overseas, eating bad takeout, and never feeling settled. I wanted a yard for the dog, a garage big enough to wrench on old bikes, maybe even some peace and quiet. And for about 3 weeks, it felt like I'd found it. Kids running around, barbecue smoke drifting on the weekends, folks waving when you pulled in. Then I met Karen. See, Karen wasn't just a stickler for the rules. She was the rules, with a laminated binder and a thirst for control. Your grass too long? Fine on the door. Halloween lights up past November? Written warning. And if you drove a black Jeep with reinforced bumpers, tactical paint, and government tags, oh boy, you'd think I'd driven a tank down Main Street. The first time she saw my Jeep, she pursed her lips so tight I thought they'd vanish. That doesn't belong here, she sniffed. Try a Honda, soldier boy. I tried to explain it was part of a law enforcement operation, but she just rolled her eyes and filed it away as more proof I was some kind of menace. Week after week, I'd get letters: vehicle modification violations, parking intimidation, excessive tactical aesthetics. She reported my Jeep as abandoned 5 times, even though I showed her it was legally parked on my property and very much in use. She didn't care. The lock on the wheel sent her into a full meltdown. No matter what I said, she was hell-bent on dealing with what she called neighborhood hazards. Now, what Karen didn't know and what I couldn't exactly put on a yard sign was that the Jeep was packed to the gills with remote cameras, a GPS beacon, and a digital recording rig. The task force had tapped me for their sting. Just keep it parked out front, they said. Rotate it every couple days. Don't move it unless we call, and keep it locked. The Jeep looked intimidating enough to scare off the casual looky-loo, but boring enough to blend in for the suspects. Irony, right? Karen's hatred was exactly why the feds wanted it there. Then came the afternoon, she went full supervillain. I was out running errands. She must have been watching. Because Rick, me neighbor 2 doors down, and the unofficial mayor of Porch Cam City caught the whole thing on his Ring doorbell. Karen, bolt cutters in hand, marching up to the Jeep like she was breaching a safe. Snip went the lock. She smiled at the camera, said, "One less eyesore to worry about," and waved in a sketchy tow truck that didn't even have a logo. By the time I got home, the Jeep was gone and the orange cone was in its place. I tried to knock on her door, nothing. Instead, I got a formal email about relocating a non-compliant vehicle. At first, it was so absurd I laughed. Then I remembered what was in the Jeep. I called the task force. They didn't laugh. 30 minutes later, federal agents were at my kitchen table, sweating bullets. I showed them Rick's footage. You could watch the color drain from Officer Melendez's face when he realized Karen had just waltzed off with a rolling evidence locker. The mood shifted hard. This was now a federal crime. Problem was, the Jeep wasn't in any tow lot. Karen had stashed it off record somewhere private, probably illegal. And just like that, the whole operation was shot. The suspects caught wind and vanished. Months of work down the drain, all because one HOA president needed to flex. The next morning, Melendez texted, "We found the Jeep. You'll want to see this." 10 minutes later, we were pulling up to a rusted utility gate behind the HOA's maintenance shed, place I'd never even noticed before. Inside, A makeshift graveyard. Cones, tarps, a few other cars with the stickers half peeled, tickets piled up on the dash. And there, in the corner, my Jeep scratched, dirty, with the surveillance case busted wide open. That's when Karen herself came strutting through the weeds, heels clacking like she was late for a book club. "Oh, you found it. I was about to notify you." Melendez cut her off. "Ma'am, step away from the vehicle. You removed federal surveillance property." She just blinked, confused, then doubled down. "It was an eyesore. You should be thanking me." I almost laughed. She sounded like she'd done us all a public service. The cops took her away for questioning. Rick, ever the opportunist, strolled over with his lawn chair and a cooler, grinning like Christmas had come early. "Want me to upload the footage now or later?" Turns out he'd archived everything: her rants, her HOA meeting meltdowns, her Facebook boasts about cleaning up the streets. When the board found out, you could practically hear the dam burst. At the emergency HOA meeting, Karen tried to spin herself as the hero, claiming she'd acted in the name of community safety and federal overreach. I stood up, plugged in Rick's footage, her cutting the lock, laughing as the Jeep was dragged away, all of it. The room went silent. Then Detective Sasha Lynn took the mic and read off the list of charges: unauthorized towing, interfering with an investigation, tampering with federal equipment. The board voted unanimous suspension. Karen, red-faced, threatened lawsuits, but nobody was buying it. Even her lawyer got laughed out of the room. You'd think it would stop there, but nope. Rick uploaded the ring footage to Reddit, and within a day, it was everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, the works. News vans rolled in. Karen's face became a meme. Her bolt cutters, the mission failed captions, the Jeep turned into a symbol of community watchdog. Even the HOA board dissolved itself, tired of being the butt of every late-night joke. Greg, the new interim president, canceled every petty rule Karen had ever written. The real cherry on top? A few weeks later, the city seized the old maintenance shed, the same one where Karen had stashed my Jeep, and auctioned it off. Melendez handed me the deed. "It's yours," he grinned. "So now it's a neighborhood garage open to anyone who wants to wrench, tinker, or just hang out. No rules. No fines. Just community." Karen eventually took a plea deal: no jail, but restitution and a 20-year ban from any board position. She moved out under the cover of darkness. House for sale, mailbox empty. The neighborhood finally felt like it belonged to the people who lived there: kids painting sidewalks, flags waving, folks actually talking on their porches. Sometimes I look at that Jeep, now cleaned up and meaner than ever, and I think about how one stubborn, power-hungry neighbor turned a quiet cul-de-sac into national news. She thought she was protecting the community, but the truth is, she nearly tore it apart. And in the end, she was the only one left out in the cold. But that's the thing about justice: sometimes it comes with subpoenas, sometimes with memes, and sometimes, if you're really lucky, with a crowd of neighbors, a custom metal sign, and the sound of a Jeep engine purring on a quiet street. So what do you think? Was it worth it? Did Karen get what she deserved? Or was this all just a little too much? Drop your thoughts below, and hey, tell me your wildest HOA story. Let's see whose neighborhood gets crazier.